I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take this anymore. While the original context of that quote may not fit so much with the premise of the Hulu psychological thriller Furious, the sentiment, it certainly does. FBI agent Alice Black is on the hunt for a mysterious and calculating female serial killer. Both walk their own paths towards justice, and as their lives start to intertwine, the line between right and wrong begins to blur. Emmy Rossum, Lola Pettigrew, and Scoot McNairy star in Hulu's very dark serial killer crime thriller. Let me reiterate, the content of the show is heinous and dark, as it deals with children and then the terrible things abhorrent monsters do to them. But if you can get past that, the mystery, emotions, and pursuit do have their chance to mess up your blood pressure. Both Rossum and Pettigrew, they have the difficult task of portraying strong but damaged people. Their worldview has been warped by their past, which now informs their present in some very twisted ways. Rossum isn't always a likable character as FBI agent Alice. She's blunt and abrasive, which can work in her favor, but she also comes across as extremely antisocial. Or maybe it's ill-equipped to function in social situations. In one sense, she reminds me of how Micah Monroe portrayed Agent Lee Harker in Longlegs, quiet and odd, but focused and intuitive. Here, Alice rubs so many the wrong way, but that's also what creates her growing charm. While I wasn't fully connecting with Alice at the start, as the minutes and then episodes go by, we get way more into her psyche and then understand what makes the character behave as she does. And this is where Rossum shines. She transforms the character from a one-note angry agent into someone who's complexly wired and full of surprising depth. She'll be all warm and inviting to a witness, and then at the drop of a hat be able to become the fierce interrogator who demands information right this second. Rossum kept me on the roller coaster of emotional upheaval with her, and while it was a wild ride, it's effective and captivating too. And then we've got Pettigrew, playing the femme fatale of Catherine. Pettigrew, who I most recently watched in Hulu's Say Nothing, here she crafts a persona that is obviously traumatized and psychologically hurt, but also one that layers herself in self-protective traits that can typically end up deadly for her targets. Catherine's motivation, while mysterious in its inception, it's straightforward and fairly easy to get behind. I mean, yeah, she is a serial killer, but with some people, they just gotta go. They're all bad guys. Now they're all dead bad guys. Now, I appreciate the way Pettigrew plays with her roles within the series. She's sort of a chameleon, morphing personas and looks so that she can trap her prey. And for as wonderful as she is in her performance, there's a massive layer of sadness and ick that surrounds why she's even on her deadly mission. I didn't feel any sort of conflict with what she was carrying out, which also then is what helps to make the show engaging, because we also get to watch Rossum question where her line is. Does Alice agree with Catherine's actions in the pursuit of personal justice, or is she more bound by the government's view of justice? Now, I'd mentioned that the content for this deals with some nasty elements having to do with children. And to add another layer of direness to the already heavy storyline, the plot examines other forms of abuse and the effects that it has on victims. And it's a rough watch at times, especially when some scenes don't have the camera fully pan away. They allow us to see some of the trauma that's inflicted. Let me say, though, thankfully, we don't actually see any of the child stuff on screen or really even hear anything, other than maybe some descriptions that are recounted by victims. So this sounds like a winner of a show, right? It's actually riveting as a thriller, despite the content. The lead actresses are surrounded by some excellent performances also to bolster their own, from actors like Scoot McNairy, who I had mentioned before, Quincy Tyler Bernstein, Jake Lacey, Rob Yang, who I wanted to throw off a building more than once, Steve Way, Hope Davis, Campbell Scott, and Peter McRobbie. There are many within the character list who we are meant to despise, and they do an excellent job of delivering the right amount of despicableness. But then there's also those like Scoot McNairy and Steve Way, who steal their scenes through subtle inflections and then world-softening demeanors. As far as the mystery portion of this goes, some could keep you guessing until the last few episodes, but there are parts of the story that also don't want to obscure the arc so we can get invested in the emotional turmoil that the characters are facing. There are also a few elements that I think are meant to be aha moments, but the plot doesn't hide these well, making the reveals feel obvious and weak. Now, thankfully, these don't overshadow the larger arcs where the intensity lies, but they do appear as awkwardly concealed rather than cleverly unveiled. It's going to be curious to see how everyone feels once the end of the season arrives. Some resolutions feel earned, but depending on how you view the actions of the two leads, I think that's going to influence how much the ending resonates with you or not. And with the way the story concludes, I don't know if there's going to be a second season or not. While the arc for this one has reached a finale, the narrative does leave a door ajar if they'd like to continue. And for what the ending hints at, a future season could become even darker than this current one. This is an easy binge of a show. Even watching week to week as the episodes release delivers enough of an emotional gut punch and intriguing pursuit to make it worth the wait. Emmy Rossum and Lola Pettigrew deliver brave and fierce performances, filled with righteous rage and determined vengeance. The plot may not hide all the reveals to the degree it believes it does, and the interweaving story arcs are dreadfully sad and grotesque, but the storytelling hits all the right buttons to elicit a primal response, creating moral dilemmas about what the just actions are, regardless of what side of the law they land on. The 8 episodes contain weighty and distressing storylines, but they're all delivered in a way that's going to captivate. There's sex, nudity, a lot of profanity, and then a ton of violence, including all sorts of physical and sexual abuse. I give Furious 4.5 out of 5 couches. Now, I know this isn't going to be for everyone, just simply due to the content, but if you do give it a go, be prepared to be sucked into the chase. Okay, what are some series that you've been binging recently? Anything awesome that you could recommend? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.